Hello everyone and welcome back to IMO Reviews. We've done it. We've found it. Another absolute beauty. Let's discuss the cinematic masterpiece that is Popeye's Revenge. Popeye's Revenge is the latest installment in these dog shit movies where ITN Studios take a publicly accessible character due to its age and make it their newest slasher icon in their low budget horror movies. This time, it's Popeye who's getting the treatment. As many of you know, I have a real soft spot for these movies. They are endlessly, appallingly dreadful. And yet, they might just be some of the most hilarious, gut-busting experiences I have had in cinematic history. The phrase, "so bad, it's good," whistles through the wind every time I watch one of these. And I can gladly say that Popeye's Revenge might just be one of the best. I guess there is only one place to start: the beginning of the movie. Yep, we literally have problems straight away. Because we're opening with a very poorly hand-drawn animated intro telling the story of Popeye's childhood and how he was bullied by the townsfolk. And it suddenly dawned on me that this is exactly the opening to Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. That's right, people. We do not give a shit. We are literally stealing from our own bad movies. Wow. That is a new low. And our cinematic powers don't end there, because the opening shot of the movie just shows how dysfunctional all of this is going to be. We very clearly see the back of this woman crouching down, but in the next turn, suddenly it turns out there was someone behind her. And thankfully, this is not our cast of actors for the rest of the movie. They're mostly here for the setup, because all of them are fucking dreadful.
It all started with a scream.
You know he's coming when the fog rolls in.
My first real laugh came from one of the opening lines as well, where the guy says, "Wow, this crime scene looks just like the photos in the newspaper." That's like going home and saying, "Wow, this looks just like my home." What did you think the journalists at the newspaper were doing? Taking pictures of not the crime scene? Another running theme with ITN Studios is they cannot get the audio right when it comes to characters kissing. Why is it so wet? Why is it so crunchy and slippy and... I apologise, I feel bad for doing that, but that's how it sounds in these films. It's maddening. But it's finally time to meet the main man. The sailor who is tailored to murdering your ass. It's Popeye. And he looks phenomenal. It is hilariously bad. I will give it this. At least he is accurate to a degree in his design, because there have been so many other of these ITN movies where they just did not care at all. Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, honestly, he looked more like Joaquin Phoenix's The Joker than Peter Pan. At least here, he is an actual sailor with a weird winking eye and tumours in his forearms, but they put him in a forest, which is odd. It's been a while since I've seen any Popeye cartoons, but I don't remember him being in a forest. I thought he was a sailor. I thought a lot of it happened on like harbours and docks and stuff. I mean, there is a boat in the film, but I feel like it's just there for them to say, "There you go, he's a sailor." It's not actually implemented into the story, which is weird, because I feel like you could have had a lot more fun had you put this on a boat out in the middle of the ocean somewhere where they've got nowhere to escape. And I should state now that every single death in this movie is either off-screen or just the worst, because none of these actors can act, and the budget is so extremely low. It is just fucking funny watching these people die. Everyone kind of dies the same way. Everyone gets strangled all the time. It's just Popeye doing this to people, and as you can see with my hands, like, there's no clenching or anything. He just does this to them, and the bad actors then go, "Ah, ah, ah, ah." But if it ever gets nasty, it suddenly cuts to Popeye's face, and blood usually splashes up him, and then we turn back to the victim, and suddenly they're missing an eye. And that bit actually is really annoying, really frustrating. Funny, absolutely, but come on, I can't help but feel like you can do better than that. I thought these movies were sort of going up in budget, not down. The effects are genuinely that of film students who are just working with what they've got. But I digress. I've got so much more to say about some of the deaths in this movie. Good God. It's time to move on with the story where, yes, Popeye has managed to kill the first 3 people that we met, and we've now come back several years later and a new group of teenagers are coming back to this house in the woods and they're going to redecorate it, I think. It's actually a bit confusing what they're doing. They all seem to be arriving with different agendas. They say that they're there to like restore it and put it back together, but they seem to just be going there for getting drunk, high, and maybe have sex. So I don't really know. I don't think the film knows. And unfortunately, this bunch of characters aren't much better than the first three we met. Not only are they flat and have nothing to offer except for terrible dialogue that you do not believe they would say, but they also cannot act to save their effing lives. Every single line read in this movie was flat as a pancake.
Down here, there's nothing down here apart from an abandoned old house.
Now that is an eyesore.
You can't help but go on your phone. You can't help but just do anything else. Some of the worst acting I've ever seen. It's not acting, it's just people reading lines that they barely remember. Then some spooky stuff starts happening at the cabin, but they use this narrative device that suddenly a thick fog has set in and that's why they can't leave. And where this budget doesn't stretch that far, this fog is one smoke machine. So it's really, really funny when the characters start stressing out over the fog and how much they can't see anything and we can't go anywhere in this terrible weather. One cloud keeping all these people at bay. Amazing stuff. Jumping forward a little bit with the weird dialogue, because all of these friends who've known each other all their lives just want to have sex with each other all the time. The stoner guy goes up to the mean girl and he asks her on a date, and because she's the mean girl, she instead takes a selfie of herself and gives back his phone and says, go and please yourself over that. And what's even worse is he actually does. But criminally, the picture that he does his thing to is not the same picture that she took. And we do have to sit there and watch him enjoy himself to this fictional picture. Until our hero Popeye turns up, that is, and rips his spinal cord out in the best way imaginable. It's so obvious that Popeye just has his hand down the back of the guy's shirt and he just yanks out that fake spinal cord thing that you would see on the skeleton in your science class. Magical. It is my favourite moment in the whole film, and I think it is genuinely an early contender for my favourite moment in cinema in 2025. But as I mentioned earlier, we are sadly just repeating the original Blood and Honey. So much so that we're even doing the hot tub scene again. At least I do think that this version is funnier than the Blood and Honey hot tub scene. Popeye, for some reason, can't talk, and I don't really understand why. He apparently can, but we don't ever see it. In that animated intro, it says that he can talk. He called out for his mother and father. And Olive Oil is just, well, imagine if Helena Bonham Carter was on crack. And Olive Oil suggests that she and Popeye converse. They have conversations with each other. But he himself, no, we never hear a word from him. And this is just something that all of these movies keep getting wrong. Implement the voice. These characters usually have iconic voices, and if we are just being goofy and funny with it, then don't you think it would be so much funnier to do the voice as well? No, instead he just grunts and groans and smiles at people and smokes his pipe after killing them. We also have a bizarre plot twist at the end where it's not really a plot twist. We're just stealing from Nightmare on Elm Street, where it turns out all of the parents went through this in their youth and they made some sort of promise to look after the house, but obviously something went wrong and people started dying. I don't know. I don't give a shit. I don't think the writers gave a shit. They really are just wiping their ass with a far better movie in this moment here. It's such an irrelevant plot twist and it really doesn't matter. There's an amazing and hilarious lawnmower death that looks so bad. There's also a moment where Popeye is like punching and strangling, and where it's going down, all of that tumor arm thing he has going on is just bubbling around the wrist where there's such bad prosthetics. And without any explanation whatsoever, Popeye, who has been set on fire and put through a lawnmower at this time, just comes back. He's alive again. Ta-da! The end. This movie was magnificent for all of the wrong reasons. Genuinely the funniest film that I've seen this year so far. And in my catalogue of these ITN movies, it's one of my favourites. This really was so bad, it was good. I laughed my arse off. And I really do want to add it to my collection. The second I see this thing on DVD for £5 at Asda, it's coming home with me. With my serious head on, this movie is obviously going to get a 1 out of 10. But the evil, twisted, fun-loving psycho inside of me kind of wants to give it like a 4. Because like I said, I'm more than happy to watch this again, add it to my collection. One of the funniest films I've seen this year. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comment section as well. If any of you have seen Popeye's Revenge, what did you think about it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you haven't known enough of this crazy ginger, you can always click on these suggested videos right here and get yourself lost in the night of my wormhole. But if not, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.